Hello everyone, and good morning and happy new year to you all, and welcome to the 2025 edition of Usually Fixing and Tinkering, which will be slightly different. There'll be less episodes but more episodes of what you enjoy watching, especially some of my better forms of episodes, namely working on my cars, and that's going to be the way it is going forwards. So I hope you've had a good Christmas. I have certainly been busy and a lot of things have been completed, and this video will show you exactly what I've been up to since the last video on Project Ruby. But anyway, I'm going to bring you around to the front and show you what we have been doing. Oh, by the way, just a misnomer. Yes, the car cover has changed for this car cover, and I'm going to give the name of this at the end of this episode because we have had a lot of rain over this winter, and unfortunately that Halfords one that I've been using for years on this and the Focus, strangely, yeah, that's kind of in the trash because it really was letting in a horrendous amount of water in the last rainstorm. So unfortunately that's now in the bin. So this car cover, honestly, this has caught some monsoons, I'll tell you, and not one bit of water has got through. But there's something I need to make you aware about with that cover, if you're interested in a good car cover. But look at this, unbelievable. It has gone back together so nicely. I have been really busy, guys, really busy. The sump has gone on really nicely, and everything's been plugged in as it is with the timing marked up. Everything's gone back in really well. I have replaced a couple of bits and pieces as I've gone along in this journey. So namely, this breather hose that goes from the airbox to the rocker cover. It's quite an easy to get item. The original one was starting to break up here, so I thought, no, I'll get a better one, and it was less gummed up, put it that way. That breather pipe, I've actually exchanged that for almost a new old stock one, which was virtually clean. So I'm very pleased with this one as well. Oh, in fact, why is it not? I forgot to connect it. Yeah, that's a good idea. Luckily, I found that. I don't know why that's disconnected. So some things I've actually forgotten. But basically, yeah, we're all in. I did do my checks. Apart from that, I've got to go back and do that. But we're all connected here, and it's looking amazing. The window grey paint that I've done on the rocker cover really goes well. I'm going to change this cap because it's all chipped and everything. To be honest, I need a better cap for now. It has been filled up with all the oil. We are ready for a start. It's as simple as that. We've got the coolant. OAT coolant is in the system because I flushed the block out thoroughly, so I can change from blue to red. The only reason you change from blue to red is if you flush it out completely, and I believe that from a number of owners, red is absolutely fine in a CVH. It's a modern enough engine of its time to take OAT without any consequences, and there isn't really any. So it has been flushed out. We'll see how dirty that can get, but I'm sure there'll be some sediment that I've disturbed that will end up in the bottle. So it might be a couple of changes. But everything down there has been serviced and looked at, and the engine block looks absolutely amazing down there. It really does. I'll just show you a couple of pictures. Just of the whole thing really just sandwiching together, and it was easy enough to get the cylinder head over those dowels. It wasn't too hard, no, not at all. So there you go. So yeah, we got a nice new sticker here as well. Oh, well, actually, it's not a new sticker. I'm going to get a new sticker, sorry. I meant to get a new one. I've got some coming, but basically this one is just the old one, but I'm going to get a new one done. I've got to get a new one of that as well. That's coming apart. I'll tell you what I'm not replacing, though. This. It's all gone crinkly, but I don't care. I think I want to leave that as it is, and this asbestos sticker, which has gone crinkly over the years, leave that stuff. I'll replace this and that, but these two, it's kind of like, no, it looks in keeping with the car. So yeah, I was asked a question by a viewer, why is the etching, what is the etching on these windows? Oh, this KM75683, okay, that is part of the chassis number. It's as simple as that. It's the end part of the chassis number. I don't mind showing you that because it's all nice details, but yeah. So the chassis number is, well, sorry, the engine, right? The engine motor number is here, FU. FU is quite a common designation for CVH. I think the lean burn version. But the actual chassis number is incorporated onto the windows. Most etchers would have usually done, it's on this side, isn't it? I think it is. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Most window etchers would have done the registration plate, but on this car, it was the chassis number that's gone onto all the windows. So just to answer that question there, if some of you were confused. But anyway, we're all ready for a start. The new tappets have been pre-oiled, so they should be pretty quiet. They can be a bit, they're not going to quieten down to the level that they're going to be required to be until it's driven on the roads. It's as simple as that. But we're all ready. The car's set up as it is. I might have made a little tweak, but we're all ready to go. Yeah, I am deadly nervous, but let's get on with it. Right, that's on. Okay, there was a couple of things I've done as well, but I'll explain that in a bit. Let's get on with this. Right, choke out. Now, I have been cranking this just to get the oil pressure up, and we have got good oil pressure. Go away. Oh, almost the first start. Goodness me. She lives. Oil pressure's gone out. Yes. Oh, Jesus, that's so good to hear. She sounds perfectly silent. Those tappets have shut up straight away. I can hear a little bit from here. I don't think you can hear. And this is the moment of truth. Oh, excuse me. She lives and she smells nice. Choke off. Excuse my camera lens, guys. Yes, yes. I made sure by rotating the engine that there was no problems, and the compression on this engine, well, put it this way, I couldn't use my 19mm spanner. I had to use a 19mm socket because it was turning, but it was firm. Those piston rings are now biting into that newly honed cylinder. So hopefully all the honing that I did will allow the piston ring to bed in and scratch that surface. You want the piston ring to bite into it. Now I have, it's a cold morning. It's a cold morning. I have used normal engine oil, 10W40. I haven't used running in oil because I don't consider it necessary at this moment. To be honest, this is disposable oil. This oil and this oil filter will be changed very, very quickly. Probably I'll give it a few cold starts on the driver and a few drives on the road. I need to drive this on the road. Sounds amazing. Yes, fantastic. Ooh. Burning paint. Now, she's starting to warm up, and all I can see is condensation and water. Condensation and water. Now I've painted that exhaust again just to monitor what's coming out the back. That's looking very promising. That is looking very promising. Now, while this car warms up, and I'm just going to shut it down a little bit. Okay, just taking it off the choke. Okay, while the car warms up, there is one thing that I had on this car that was a bit of an issue. Oh, by the way, I do forgive the carburettor. It may start to play up again because it was playing up before I took this engine apart. So I think a little bit of crap has gone in again. So I'll have to take the carb off and sort that. But if it plays up. At the moment it isn't. Nope. No, that's pretty good. But anyway, there was a problem with this car before it got laid up. And I was looking at the suspension department because I could hear a creaking sound. Whenever I went over a pothole, I can hear a creaking from the front, and my steering wheel would creak like anything. For some reason, there was some sort of feedback coming through my steering wheel, especially when steering, and my steering was starting to feel a little bit on the grindy side. You can hear that. I do believe that the fueling is a bit, there's a bit of crap in there. I can hear it, but that's okay. It's good enough for the starter. Just let it get warm. But basically, when you push the front of the car down, you can hear a massive creaking from the back. And I pointed this out in one of the last episodes. That universal joint at the back, it's called a steering coupler. It connects the steering rack to the steering column. It's a universal joint and it's splined on. That was the culprit. As soon as I disconnected it and bounced the car up and down, the sound had gone. That universal joint was creaking and starting to go on me. 35 years old, 50,000 miles, what do you expect? But that's a common failure for Mark 3, 4 and 5 Fiestas and Mark 1 KAs. I'm not sure about Pumas, they might have changed it for that. But that steering coupler is fitted to all them cars, and it is a serious common failure point. So yeah, it's that's been changed now. I've changed it for a genuine one I bought for £25 online. Usually they're about 70-80 quid from Ford. You can still get them. They are that common a failure. But now my steering is good and there's no creaks. So there's a couple of other things I will point out as well. The CV boot has been done on this side. That has been completely sorted with the new arm fitted. And also on this side, I decided, because of how good those bottom arms were from Febby Bilstein, I bought one for this side. So this side, it's got a completely new arm on it. Look at that. Yeah, so that's got a completely new bottom arm on it, so the suspension should be a lot stiffer. To be honest, the one on this side was the better of the two, and I said that I wasn't going to replace it, but judging on that side, I think, yeah, it needed changing. It took me half an hour to change it. It was so easy, so easy. I used some new bolts as well, so that's all good. So new bottom arms, a new boot, a new steering coupler, and a completely rebuilt engine. And I say completely because the only thing that didn't come out was the block itself. So anyway, I think we can slide to take it off the choke now. I've stopped talking, but I thought I would update you on what I've been doing. At working temperature, in fact, take it off. Yeah, the idle is a bit high. You can't see it from here because the camera won't pick it up, but it is a little bit on the high side. I think that's that usually indicates 1000 RPM. No, my carburettor shouldn't be there. I've got a feeling that is because there's some rubbish in the system. I might have to tweak the settings and just see if that's either, because what I found in the past when this carburettor was playing up, when the jets used to get blocked by all that crappy sand, it would change the idle speed, so it would go up to 1,000, then suddenly it would go back to 800 where it should be, or 900. That is the effect of crap in the fuel system. It produces a very unequal idle, an inconsistent one. But yeah, those tappets, I can still hear those tappets a little bit more than usual, but look how quiet that is. They've got up to pressure. Yeah, good. It's a positive breathing, that is. And I'll tell you something, I'm pretty sure that the breathing will be far less on this. Let's just do an experiment. Let's have a look what's coming out of that. Nah. When I used to do that before on the old, well, I say the old engine, there used to be a ton of smoke that used to come through there, an absolute ton. And that's heavy breathing, and that is gases getting past the rings into the sump and the oil ways and backing out through the top of the engine. Lovely. Right. This is what we've come for. Let's shall we go and have a look. Oh my goodness me. Obviously it's a cold morning, so we're going to see a bit of steam come out, but nothing. Oh my goodness me, that is nothing. That is nothing. There's no smoke, there's no blue smoke. Okay, let's see if I can put the foot on the gas. Let's see how she behaves. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. That's just condensation. There's no smoke at all. I can't smell anything. All I can smell is 80s typical exhaust smoke. I can't smell anything. My expectation of this job was very clear in my own head, and when you do jobs like this, you've got to have an expectation of what you want to achieve, and that was, well, after seeing the state of the cylinder head, improving the compression of this engine. We'll find that out in the long term. Those piston rings need to bed in first. We'll keep monitoring the exhaust, keep monitoring the oil level, but I've got to be honest, this is perfect. It doesn't smell like a barbecue. I was warned by a few people, and I definitely had it in my head that even after all this work, it might puff a bit of smoke. Newer cars puff a bit of smoke. That's fine. I would accept a little bit of oil loss, you know, after so many thousand, you know, 1,000 miles, maybe a little bit of oil loss. That's fine. That's absolutely fine. I'd probably expect a bit more than that, to be honest. But no, definitely a massive improvement on what this car was burning on the dipstick and visibly, and smells at the back. And now I can drive down the road and it doesn't look as if it's going to do it on me. That engine sounds really quite bit tappety, but what I've got to do is properly drive this. Some people say rev the car to 3,000 RPM for a good 5 or 6 minutes to get those tappets to completely shut up. Yeah, I don't want to annoy their neighbours, so I'm going to take it on a proper drive to get the tappets really worked in. But it's all got a bed in, and you've got to monitor this now. Now this is amazing. So I think we might have done our task. I think the task has been overwhelmingly completed, and this is why doing jobs diligently, like I've shown you for all these episodes on Ruby, of this updated engine rebuild saga, of why it's so important to look at the details with engine building. Fans cutting. So I'm going to leave this here, guys, but Ruby is looking good. She has a much better steering feel now. I think that universal joint was definitely going. I've tested it going backwards and forwards. CV boot, bottom wishbones, nice and firm, all good. And an engine that sounds very, very happy indeed. And she's ticking over so slightly, and actually the carburettor's playing ball. I'm really pleased. What I am going to do is I'm going to have to probably tweak the idle setting just to lower it down a little bit, and have a look at the spark plugs. And because the problem is now is that the fuel mixture that I set perfectly for the old engine, I was going to say the old engine because it's been completely rebuilt, it feels like a different engine in appearance as well, but that mixture was based off that old engine, and that old engine needed a lot of work. The rebuilt engine needs a completely different setting on the carburettor, because you will find that it will definitely be different. It's burning more efficiently, it's burning and sealing in that cylinder head the way it should be. And I've got a feeling my conclusion about what was causing the oil burning, I definitely think piston rings were involved, but I think those oil stem seals were crap. So my advice after all this is, if you need your valve stem seals doing on a CVH, you don't use the tool, you have to take the head off. And if you take the head off, you might find a few issues there, but that's fine because you can get them done and it'll be better than ever. You don't have to go down my route of doing piston rings, just do the head. And I think that'll be good enough. And it's very possible that I maybe didn't even need to touch the rings. You never know, time's going to tell. But I just love this paint. That is the paint on that rocker cover is exactly the same as the Ford stuff. Window grey. I think it's RAL 7040, RAL 7040 for anybody who's watching this, and that will get you the paint. I'm going to see you guys in another episode, but this thing needs to be bedded in, she needs to be driven, and the plan is I'm going to give her a bit of a clean up, and she's going to be swapped with the Focus. She's going to go in the garage and going to be swapped. The next thing on the list with this car, hopefully, is just to monitor everything, and if anything needs to be looked at again, it will be looked at again. Oil and oil filter will be changed subsequently very quickly, because there's been some wear. You know, metallic bits of the piston rings might end up in the sump because it's chewing itself on the new bore. There might be some odd wear and tear, but very minimal. I expect to see minute particles in that oil from the piston rings as they bed in, and that's what you would expect. But anyway, it will be swapped with the Focus. The Focus will come back out. Ruby tailgate. It's going to go to my body man, and I'm going to let him play around with it, and it'll be as good as ever. Anyway, look after yourselves, guys, and Happy New Year from me and Project Ruby. Take care.